Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and were you saying that about this show? Who knows? Because we are back. Who knows? A couple of years ago, but we are back to Sunset, Joe Goldberg, Will Benhamheim, whatever fucking other names he had. I am the trial master, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
I am the Brontosaurus, Kirkland Patzer.
I'm your boo-boo, Taylor Field.
See, you guys have good ones. You know why? Because I watched this. I finished the second day it came out, and you guys are more fresh than me. So when I got to the nicknames, like, I have no fucking clue. This show's like 2 months old to me now. No. You guys delaying me on Mission Impossible, delaying me on this. My God.
Says you've been out a week. Like, settle down.
Calm down.
Works from home.
But nope. Yeah, I do. But, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we're here. You can go back. There is a this show's been going on for a while. Can someone get me the date? Because I feel like all the reviews have had like very different people on
2018?
2018,
Damn.
okay. Not as old as I thought, but still coming on, a couple years to a decade. But so we do have a review for every season out there. I think season 3 is when it started to be us 3, but Dylan was on some of them. Jessica was on some of them. I don't know if Kyle snuck onto them. Briggs might have been on them. So yeah, a whole bunch. But the past couple years we've been doing this one, and we're here. So as usual, we're going to give our non-spoiler thoughts of what we thought of the season and ending. But that section's probably not going to go in too long because I feel like it's hard to talk about the season with the spoilers as it is the final season. But yeah, so Mr. Patzer, what did you think of season 5? Do you feel fulfilled with the ending? Because obviously season 4 I think was rocky for us. It didn't keep up the quality of the first 3 seasons, but we're like, okay, they're still ending at a point where they can bring it home. We're not getting into Dexter style or any other shows where it's like, oh, season 7, season 8, we're just going. So, okay, season 5 can probably reel it back in. And was this reeled in, or did the fish take you overboard?
Did the fish take me overboard? I don't know if it took me overboard. I definitely got wet on that boat. I think this ending, I think it did a good enough job at concluding this story for Joe Goldberg and you overall. I definitely think this is, like, while watching this season, I could feel that, like, man, I think the best of this show, like the best content of this show is definitely in the past, and I am glad that we're ending it here. We're not trying to keep going with this adventure. I think there's a lot of like isms to the first, like, early just moments of the show in general, which is like a nice little kind of way to send it off of just going full circle, going back to the beginning again. I definitely was surprised by a few things that happened in here, and that was nice to be kind of kept off guard, especially with it. Just, I think early on in the season, it seemed like it was like, okay, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what's happening, and that totally flipped it around. So that was kind of nice to be surprised there. Yeah, and I don't really have any major like issues with the way that it ended. I like nothing that I'd really change for the most part. Like some little nitpicks here and there with maybe just some inconsistencies with the certain characters' motivation. I'll detail that when we get there. But yeah, no, I thought this was really good performances wise. I thought they were really, really good. I think the actress, I'll have to pull up IMDb because I don't have any other names, but the actress that played Kate, I actually think this was like a better performance for her in this season versus her last season. Yes. She was like MVP for me for every episode that she was in. It was so spectacular. Just just the range that she was doing, especially that it was like it seemed like she was in a more like a somewhat minor appearance wise maybe than last season. I don't know. I didn't rewatch last season, so I can't really judge, but it just,
I think it's pretty comparable, but I would definitely say she was in last season more overall still.
Yeah, no, but I thought she was such a standout. Penn was just phenomenal as well. I think he's really ramping it up here in this final season. With like it should be going that way. So yeah, no, I think for the most part, pretty satisfied with it. But I don't think I'm going to be looking on it of like, man, season 5 of You, like that was spectacular. Like that's 10 out of 10. It's like, man, you had some really good seasons and pretty solid ending. I think that's how I'm going to be looking back and kind of just talking about the show in general. Definitely some good moments. Some shocking surprises, but really solid. And I think the 10 episodes, I think it was a pretty healthy amount. I think while I was watching it, I forgot it was 10 episodes. So we're like getting close to the 8er, and I'm like, man, like we got a lot to do here. And then it was kind of a nice, pleasant surprise to have the 10 episodes and good lengths overall. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I'll say for spoiler free. Would recommend it, especially if you've gone on this journey. Yeah, it's not like a final season of Dexter or something where it's like why even bother going through that? Just skip it. Go ahead to New Blood or something. So yeah,
Joe New Blood coming to a theater near you.
it could happen. Who knows? We'll see how. I haven't paid attention to like what this has been doing. I know Netflix numbers wise are always just a mist. We don't know exactly what the numbers are for Netflix, but I don't know what the general buzz is because it seems like you and especially with just Penn Badgley, just a lot of people are infatuated by his handsome good looks and his charisma. So like I feel like a lot of hype just kind of gets built up around the character of Joe Goldberg and you and minor spoilers. It's kind of funny how they talk about some of
They
that.
definitely play on that a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got thoughts, but we'll save spoilers of what the future of this franchise is. But Mr. Field.
Yeah, I feel like this season was a little too long. I feel like some episodes were, I don't want to say filler. There wasn't really anything filler because it's all one cohesive narrative for sure. But I feel like some episodes were just a little too dragged out in developing certain things and developing certain characters.
Would your nickname be one of them? Because I would agree there that we could have said goodbye to that story probably midway throughout the season. But
I like those characters that were involved, but I think the way that they pulled off their story was it was long and it didn't amount to anything. So,
and I feel like maybe not quality wise, but when we talk about Dexter later seasons, when it gets very unbelievable, there's some stuff happening with that story that you have to really like check your suspension of disbelief at the door. Where I feel like with you, maybe you didn't in the future, but I digress.
I think once we got past the middle ground of
Episode 5.
Yes, yeah, then things kind of started to turn around a little bit and pick up a little bit more, which I really liked.
Do you think, before you go, do you guys think they were at one point tempting to do what they did last year or last season? Remember when they split the season into 2 and they did the whole reveal that Reese was like the eat the rich killer and that was the cliffhanger? We're not gonna say it was, but like episode 5 feels like it has a cliffhanger when they reveal something. And I wonder at one point if they're like, yeah, we're gonna do that again, where there's gonna be a break, because it felt like that, but then they didn't break, so it was weird to have like a mid-season finale, but then you just pick up with, okay, we're a cops here and they're figuring out what's going on, you know. So I wonder if they were toying with that or not.
Definitely had the same feel of that for sure.
Where other seasons each season I don't feel like there's like a big turning point in the middle season. I feel like it's like a consistent here's the story, but who knows.
In retrospect, like with this season compared to the other ones, I feel like while season 4 sets up where we're at here, I have to go back and listen to that review, but I don't feel particularly hot on season 4, especially after watching this one. I feel like that whole side tangent in London was just way too out in left field for me. I really just in retrospect don't enjoy it. And so obviously if that means we had to have that in the story to get to where we are here with Kate and so forth, then okay, I can understand that. I can accept that, because I mean, you highlighted it. Kate was fantastic in this season. She really became a powerhouse of a character. So really, really, really like that. And yeah, I think there's some other things that, I did enjoy, but at the end of the day, it didn't have to be 10 episodes. I feel like it could have been shorter. So I'm looking forward to breaking this down, because there's definitely a few things in here worth discussing, but yeah, it was nice to kind of have a season in closing that was not a full-on like repetition of previous seasons. While there's familiar beats, it still manages to stand up on its own and introduce something new after 4 seasons of being very similar. Like, oh, Joe sees this girl, and then that's what happens. He's falling in love. Oh, Joe sees this girl. Oh, falls in love. Da da da. There's still a few surprises that caught me off guard. So, yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, so I think I'll be excited once we get into spoilers to talk about this, because I feel like we all have similar feelings on some realms, but I think we're on different wavelengths as far as like the number we would be, not on like the rating, because I I know. I feel like we're going to be maybe on a similar rating standpoint, but just things that we maybe enjoyed more than others. But yeah, I agree with Kate. She was great because she was somebody I did not like completely love. So I did rewatch the entire show because I want to get ready for this. And yeah, I've seasons 1 to 3, I absolutely love. For me, I've always said that was like a scratching the Dexter itch while Dexter was gone. And it is just so funny where that's why I got like the show season 1 on its own merit was good, but that's why I got into because I heard those comparisons. And man, is it so funny where we started that this is the new Dexter, and now we're coming into this year where we're getting our second sequel series of Dexter where Michael C. Hall is back. So it's funny in the time span that you've been here, Dexter was gone and he's come back twice now. So it's just funny how like entertainment works. That's why like Luke Skywalker says for characters no one's ever really gone. That same thing with IP, So that's why I believe no matter what happens, I think you'll see something you related on the Netflix banner at some point in the future. So this season, I think like what Kirkland said, this didn't reach those end Dexter seasons, but it definitely felt like we're one season away from that. We're on the cusp of we're getting into we got no material that's really that good. The things are really cheesy. Everything that saves it is honestly is mostly the acting. I think there's some writing, but the show just it doesn't feel as clever as it used to, and that's a problem, right? Because like Taylor said, it's not a one for one, but there's still lots of beats of Joe meets a girl and he gets obsessed and he does this and he spends 3 episodes being like, we're just going to be friends, and something happens and that girl doesn't know he's a bad guy, and then there's signs. But the problem is, like, we'll get to spoilers too, but it gets less believable when the girl's falling in love with the guy and it's like, hey, this guy's been connected to like 50 dead people. Where like with Love, it didn't matter because Love was a fucking psychopath, right? And then even with Marianne, it's like, okay, there's like one connection, the dead wife, but it's like that could happen, right? Or even Beck, that's a one off. There's just certain things where even though with all the money, it's just like I think with this show, that was something where there was some leaps and bounds in the first earlier seasons, but you could kind of manage it or expect the kind of, oh, Joe's a little lucky to get away with this, right? Where this season and even 4, it's like you need fucking 8 horseshoes up your ass to get away with a lot of this stuff, and it just kind of works out. And especially when they're in big cities like New York, which cameras everywhere, right? So there's like half the stuff they're doing is like you'd be caught in a day. Like Joe would be done, but you just kind of have some fun and go along with it. But yeah, I honestly think I wish there was a way they could put half of because I'm in Taylor's camp. I think 10 was too much. I think there's multiple storylines that go on too long. This to me felt like, oh, we have 10 episodes, we have to extend them, especially I'd say the Bronte character. I feel like there's 3 episodes where they didn't know what to do and they're just like, well, let's make her feel this way, and then it's like, actually let's make her just return her back to what we're doing with her. And so like that's a weird kind of side way we went, and I wish there was like I don't think you could do this, but maybe someone out there can do it for me, as leave seasons 1 to 3 as themselves and then give me like a super cut of 4 and 5, like make 4 and 5 the 4th season, and that's right. But yeah, because I think you still needed some of the England stuff, but even that went on longer. I did like it a bit better on a second rewatch, but there's so much stuff that didn't need it. And even then too, we've been like 3 seasons of dealing with super rich people, and that theme got a little repetitive of like him and Love went to the suburbs, right? And then with the Eat the Rich Killer in season 4, this is just like, okay, now Joe's married into the rich people. So it's a lot of those like isms that I'm not watching White Lotus right now, but I've heard that too, where it's like, that's a lot of, oh, rich people are bad. And whatever, of course, eat the rich, that expression where people talk about these people are really well off. Should we feel bad for them? I'm not saying that, but once we're 3rd season of Joe dealing with like that's always what it is, right? Well, you're rich and you don't know any better and you're a piece of shit. It's like, okay, I get it, Joe, you don't like these rich people, but it's like you are now one of the rich people. So I'm happy with the ending overall. I think we'll talk about spoilers. I think they got to a good point. I think it was a bumpy road, but I still think they got the win. It's funny because I did go back and listen to our season 4 review because I was like, what did I think about that? And because that's what we all like the back half more. And I'm bringing that expression back that I use where I said, yeah, we got the win, but it was a very bumpy road. Like we won by 1 point in the last, few seconds of the game. Because I think I don't know. I think it's kind of on par with last season. I think they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. I will give this credit though that I think they did a very good job of tying many things together throughout the whole show. And that's one thing I desperately hated about the Dexter final season, the ending. That's why I'm excited about Batista coming back, because that was never talked about in the original show. Batista just had his own fucking side quest where like Quinn's fucking his sister, and that's drama. It's like when Dexter's ending, you feel like everybody should be involved in that, and it really wasn't. Where this, it felt like, hey, everybody that's alive, even some people that are dead, other than they apparently could not get Love Quinn back. That's not a spoiler, but like even the thumbnail for the show, all his girlfriends are there except for Victoria Petriti. I'm like, okay, she didn't want to play ball or come back, but other than that, everything's on the table. So, and I think they did the classic. Taylor will know this. I'm not sure. Kirkland, you a Scream fan? You watch Screams at all?
I've seen one or two, mostly scary movie.
Stab?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
It's scary. Yeah. But like Jamie Kennedy talks about, this doesn't completely work, but in the third one, he talks about in horror trilogies, you always got to go back to the original. You got to go back to where it started. And I think, like Kirkland said, they did a good job of going back to where the start with certain aspects of tying directly to season one and going, okay, this feels like a semi-complete story, even if it doesn't get there the cleanest. And yeah, no, I'm going to miss seeing Penn in this role, but at the same time, this is a good spot to end it. 5 seasons, that's enough. I can always go back. And luckily, I think this season ended in a good enough way and still strong enough that if I want to rewatch a show, I would still watch 4 and 5. If 5 sucked, I already told these guys I was going to rewatch seasons 1 to 4. And when Joe jumped off the bridge, I was just going to stop it there. Like what I do with Dexter now. Dexter to me now ends season 5, episode 1, when he buries Rita, and then we go right into New Blood. That's my new machete order of like, I don't need to watch all this stuff. And that's where I think at least season 5 was good enough that, okay, I could watch the full journey, even though I think it's a pretty messy season. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I didn't think was needed. But yeah, I'm happy with what they ended the story and where we ended it. So anything else non-spoilers before we continue on? All right, going once, going twice. We're going to take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. I don't know why my brain took over. I was going to go fucking hit the end stream button. No idea why my brain was cocking that up, so thank God it didn't. But yeah, head over to Patreon.
Let's start again.
Yeah, I didn't like my take. I got another 20-minute rant. But no, let's go. You can go to Patreon, get this episode and many episodes ad-free. Me and Dylan just did a very fun side quest talking about the Switch 2 and Ghosts of Yotai and lots of other stuff going on there, so check that out. This week we got Thunderbolts, we got Weekly Geek with Kirkland and Dylan Musk, which I think is going to be a really juicy, pleasurable episode. You go check out our After 9, that was tons of fun. We watched Top Secret. We got Andor, Last of Us, lots of good stuff cooking. And right now you can go there and suggest us movies for 1994. That's our Golden Geeks we're going to be doing for the 10-year. So lots of good stuff there. That's the best way to support us. If you can't subscribe on YouTube, podcast feeds, but if you want more shows so we can do multiple reviews, newscasts, go to Patreon. That's the best way to support us and get multiple benefits. Nice try. Try to crack me there. You did good.
You did good.
You did good. Yeah. So, yeah. Where do we start with the final season of You? There's a lot of places to go.
I want to pick a spot here. Henry is just thrown right back into the mix here, which really caught me off guard. I was not expecting that whatsoever. I thought we haven't seen him since season 3. He was locked away with, the new parents, but he
wasn't locked away. He was
locked away.
Nicely
given. He was given. But yeah, it's just, I felt bad for him because it was like, yeah, he's just ripped away from his 2 parents, and now Kate is the mom, and Joe's back to being the dad, and it's just, I guess money does whatever money wants to do. But yeah, that just caught me off guard. So what do you guys think about it?
It was a fun dynamic to have in the season. Like it just added a lot more of like just a big variable, I think, to the overall situation, because like, okay, Joe is a bad guy. Like I'm wanting him to go down, but then you throw in like this kid aspect and like all the stuff with him reacting or just his motivation around Henry. Like it felt very genuine. I don't know how. Like it's probably just some fucked up whatever he has around with Henry, because like clearly he says like I'm doing everything I can for my son. But then he's like murdering people and just like putting like just
he's
ruining
doing nothing for his son.
He's just ruining this child's life for forever.
To stab his uncle.
Yeah, like it's just,
his runaway plans don't include his son ever. Like he just
But I did like just the dynamic of it. Like it was just a big, I don't know, firecracker in the season of like how are they going to handle this situation? And I think for how it was done in the show was pretty enticing. But yeah, in terms of just him just getting thrown back into the mix in the season, it just seemed like it was like a string of like, oh yeah, the Lockwoods are just infinite money glitch and they can just do whatever they want. And that's kind of something that started from last season, right? When they just covered up everything that Joe did. Like he's Joe Goldberg again. Like they just, that's just reality. And obviously that started from last season. In this season, it happens a few times of like Kate just gonna call her person and just figure out the situation.
Even Joe, even when he's like quote unquote cut off, he's still just throwing money around wherever. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
even matter. Like
he's buying Bronte like shit just with Kate's card. Yeah, like I'm glad that we have this carte blanche at the end of the show. You know what I mean? Like this would have been so annoying if we were going on like 3 seasons and Kate's just like, oh yeah, no, you know you need to get something covered up again. Like we're just gonna transport you to this other country and we're just gonna expunge everything, or might not even have to because we'll just stay in New York because no one can get us here, even though you're Joe Goldberg. So, yeah, I think there was many times it annoyed me overall, just with how easily some of those situations were being resolved, but didn't overstay its welcome too much. But yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Henry when they do their whole little montage there. Just like, oh, and I got my son back. It's like, oh, you got your son. I knew the son was in this season, but I thought it might be a dream sequence or something else. I'm of multiple minds with the son. I think the only reason they make it seem like Joe cares about the son is just because they put all that on Penn Badgley, the act, and he does a great job that way. But I think in the writing, it's not there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I'm not saying Joe should care about his son because the way he is. But I think it's just there's like multiple episodes the son just is not around. He's not with Kate, he's not with Joe. And I know some might be like, well, they're rich and he's with the butler, but it's just like, well, that's hard for me to believe like both these people care about this kid, right? Like there's just so many times where Henry's just missing or he appears once, and I don't know if he needed to be back. It worked like sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It felt like a hassle. You know, it's much like when Dexter had Harrison early on. It's like Harrison would go missing, and that's just a tough thing when you pair them with like a young kid who has to be watched by his parents. It's always the thing. And even Joe is like, he's out at late hours. He's sleeping over in his fucking book hotel, being like, oh, work's late. It's like, how's work late for the fucking, you know, like
it's his grand opening.
But other times, like I'm sure this bookstore is open like what 9, 10, and he's getting home at 3. He's like, oh, late night. Like there were a couple weird choices that Kate doesn't have a scene with Bronte till like the episode she dies. Very odd that like at no point they have this whole scene where Kate's crying with Teddy about, oh, he's cheating on me, yeah, but she doesn't confront him. She doesn't even go into the fucking bookstore. Like Joe's just like running wild out there doing whatever. And I kind of didn't like that Kate ended up with the kid at the end. Like I here's the thing. I think the acting of Kate was better, or just like she had better material that worked for her. The character I'm very iffy on as well, because I felt her ending, dying in the fire, was a worthy end. And I think at the end when she's like, well, she shows her scars. They didn't even give her like a face scar. She's got like one on her arm that she can hide up. Like she's a great looking woman, and like she's still like a billionaire. She has Henry. So even at one point she says like, we should have left him with those 2 men. They loved, you know, they could give him the love we couldn't. So at the end when she could, nah, I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep Henry, you know. I just feel like,
well, that was if she died. If she died, he was going to go back.
Yeah.
well,
or if she was going to go to prison.
That's right.
No,
yeah.
it's when her and Joe were arguing though of him. She was saying that we shouldn't have brought Henry into this situation. We should have just left him with those 2 guys. So I just felt like still at the end she should have had that epiphany. Like there's someone that knowingly killed kids for a project. You know, she said, oh, blah blah blah, did this, and I just didn't buy the turn of episode 1. Joe, I didn't buy the full turn where. Finale we talked about last season. Joe's evil. He's just accepted. He's got money, and Kate's like, "You do your thing. We're gonna run the world." Episode 1, Kate's fully on board. You know my uncle? Fucking kill him. Do whatever. Episode 2, nah, this is not for me anymore. It just felt like such a sudden. That felt like they wanted more seasons, and whether they want to end it or AK, I think Penn Badgley, because he had said many times like I'm ready for the show to end. Whether he was like I don't want to continue on, it just felt like the switch of Kate wasn't justified. So even then, like, I don't know how innocent her uncle is, but still he wasn't to the amount of what Joe was doing, and she like ordered his assassination. But at the end of the show, pretty good deal for her. She's still got the kid, still got her billions, like she's fine, like she's selling art again. She's like has all these connections. So for me, I actually thought, even though I liked her acting, I thought it would have been more fitting if she also died in the fire and Henry did go back to those two guys, because it's just she's also done some bad shit. And again, yeah, I just didn't buy her turning on Joe. I thought it was really fast, especially with last season and even the start of the season. Felt like that was the whole point, that she accepted his darkness and then it was no more, so
Yeah, it's fair. I think I agree with you for the most part. I think, I agree with the statement that her performance was better than like what was written for the character. Like she just uplifted everything around it, which was fantastic. Because if you would have had a lesser actress like in that role, would have been a very forgettable character. It's like, man, this just lady with a blank check that just bails them out. Like it nothing really to write home about. But I think doubling down on just the exceptional acting that she was doing, like I feel like I was being bought into her, kind of how it played out for her. Like yeah, it seems a little bit abrupt at times, but it's also like she's trying to just, like, she's under so much pressure with being the CEO of the company. She has a terrible family, for the most part. I guess mostly Reagan. Just this like evil lady that is just constantly a thorn in your side, trying to dig up the skeletons in your closet, like 24/7. You just have all these like other anxieties and pressure of just like marrying this sociopath. Like I guess at this point she doesn't fully understand the extent of it, but I think I believe that she kind of puts this veil on a lot of that stuff in the sake of her just being in love and like just picturing this life of like, I can just have this perfect marriage, this perfect like son that I'll be raising if we just kind of let this go. And I think I did believe that she thought that Joe like was genuine with him saying like it was just an act of whatever it was. The terminology they said is just like a one-time thing essentially for these murders. Like it's just like random chance on how they happened. Let's just move past it and move on from that point. Like I feel like I did believe her for that reason, but then once it just gets too intense, like too real, like they actually killed her uncle, like she can't sleep at night, like she's just having cold sweats, like it's the Lady Macbeth thing where she's just trying to wash the metaphorical blood off of her hands like 20 like all the time, but she just can't. So I think I believe the performance of her saying that, of just like I thought I could do this, maybe I can't, like this is bad, let me handle it my way. And I think there's many times that she shows that she probably should be getting some help with, not really Joe's help, but just other family members or people around her. But it's just a character flaw where she feels like everything has to be on her. It's probably tied to the dad and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think I did maybe just buy into her flip-flopping of being on the side a lot more than Bronte, when we get there. I think that one was a little bit more egregious for me.
Yeah.
Especially because it just goes like one episode, she's completely on team. Next episode, she's completely against him. Next episode, completely on team. And then the next episode, completely not. So that was pretty egregious. But for Kate's, I would defend that one to an extent. But you do bring up some good points there, Travis.
Yeah, we'll get to Bronte. I'm pretty much near camp there, but tell me about Kate. Happy with her ending? Happy with her arc this season? Happy with her family?
I really thought she died.
These people are fucking the Avengers. Like Joe has so many lives. Kate like stabbed in a fire, and I can't. They just
Marianne's got a whole bunch.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
but
not Beck though.
Not Beck. No, one and done.
That happened in later seasons. You get those powers. Season 1, no, permadeath.
Yeah,
You're
but
just
yeah,
gonna
I
be a
think
ghost, though.
she completely caught me off guard that she survived. I thought she was absolutely dead and toast. But yeah, she survived the fire, and I'm glad she's alive. I am glad that she has Henry. I like their relationship together. I think it's just such a crazy turn of events. Like if I had my way, I never would have brought Henry back into the fold. I think okay, Henry could have stayed with his two other parents that Joe passed him on to, but alas, that's not the case anymore, and they changed it. So Kate having custody of Henry and all that, I really do like that, and I like that they kind of have that happy ending. Her family though, Reagan was just brutal, and I couldn't remember where I saw the actress from, but the actress, I can't remember her name. She's from Pitch Perfect, and I didn't realize that they were twins at first. I thought they were just very like close looking sisters. But then
In
that whole
this?
twin in this, yeah, I didn't realize that it was the same actress because she's not. They're not really twins in real life. I'm pretty sure it's just one actress.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
my
playing
assumption.
two. Yeah,
I thought
like
you were
the
about to
Michael B.
blow my
Jordan.
mind and been like, no, they're actually twins. It's like, what the fuck? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, that's crazy. But okay,
yeah.
we're on the
But
same page.
it's she did a fantastic job. Really, really liked it, and I thought it was great when just seeing how they were reacting with Kate and how Kate was just trying to endure and kind of get past it and not go the route of like murdering them and what Joe wanted to do. And I feel like after last season, they were really trying to set up this whole. And I mean, set up is I say that loosely because it was Joe that was narrating and telling us this from his perspective. Like, I'll be there to help her be a better person. She'll be there to make me a better person. We have each other, and he wants to just start killing, and she won't let him. So now he's the one, he sees that as a problem, but he's going back on what he committed to in the finale of that season 4. And so you just have Kate, who's grown and developed on beyond that now and is with the family and yeah, with Teddy and Reagan and Maddie and all that. So yeah, just that whole relationship with Reagan though was just something else. And I think that twist of when Joe went in and he fucked up, which he fucks up a lot, but I thought that was really well done and quite clever when he takes the wrong twin and all that, and just his loose attempt to try and play it off like, oh, like I'm your boo boo, and she's like, ah, you're not my boo boo. It's like, we always had something between us, and he was just like trying to mess around with her to, not like sleeping with her, but mess around mentally with her to try and get her to come around. But yeah, I feel bad for Maddie. I actually really like that character, and that actress. I already like spoke about that,
Feel
but
bad.
I do feel bad for her. She got mentally abused by Reagan, and then she got mentally abused and tricked by Joe, and everything just went absolutely sideways. But
Diabetic, type 1.
yeah, that actress did a phenomenal job when she was like coasting in and out of having to act out being Reagan to fool people, and then just was reverting back to being Maddie, and just the transitions. Like she's in the bathroom and she's talking to herself in the mirror, conversation like from her with herself as Reagan and Maddie, and she's doing like her makeup and stuff. Like, and then Kate goes in there and she's just on the floor. Fuck, it was just. She's a really, really good actress in this show. Really like it, but all of that stuff that was very much too long. And the Reagan stuff, I feel like has no payoff for later on. They don't even touch upon the fact. I don't at least remember where Kate's like, "Oh, you actually." No, I guess. Yeah, because Maddie confirms that she killed Reagan, but Kate doesn't seem affected by it or anything, right?
They just move on pretty quickly with it, you know.
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
Teddy knows, like they all know, and it's just because everybody knows. Oh shit, wrong mic. Thank you. Everybody. Oh, continue.
Go for it, Kirkland.
Sucker. That's all I have to add to the conversation. No, Maddie was great. Reagan was great. Great performances. Good highlight there, Taylor, for bouncing between the two. Back to Travis. I can't hear you.
It's that
I can't
100%
hear you.
polyester
Yeah.
mic he's got there.
Speak louder, please.
Gasoline.
Just yell.
We're working good. Anyways, yeah, the whole world knows she murdered her, and I guess they just served some jail time or something because, right, he got a prison tattoo, the husband, right, of Maddie on his neck, and yeah, I just think it went on too long. And
48
again,
hours, is that what he said?
something like that. And again, to like the point of she's full on the Joe thing. She's like, oh, do your mind switcheroo thing. Like very, like you could say it's Stockholm syndrome, but the same way, it's like they feel pretty fine after all said and done. Like they're just in the park. They're getting, she's pregnant, like happy family. I just felt like the effects weren't there for what Joe did to her and killing her sister. Because even then, I know the sister was like a terrible person, but like a lot of her family is. So they just went on too long, and I don't know. I thought the acting was good enough. I think it just kind of went close to the realm of being very cheesy. Even the subplot of just doing both twins, it's like I don't know if you could even get away with that in 2025. Like you could do a point, but there's so much going on with these people, and even Joe's plan of, oh, we're gonna say there's a boat accident, and you're the new twin. Like there has to be some way to tell these things apart. But yeah, not definitely a storyline that if I ever rewatch the show, that's gonna be the pull up the phone stuff. I didn't need it for as long as it went. I think there's some fun stuff with her and Joe, but yeah, I agree with you though. The twist of him getting the wrong twin, that was very well done and everything, especially when he's having the moral dilemma of like he thinks she's getting assaulted. He's like, I want to kill her, but do I want to put her through this? He's like, and he's gonna go save her. So they're always doing that thing where, oh, Joe's a terrible person, but he's not this type of terrible person, you know. So they try their best. I can't remember. There's another point I was gonna make in the realm you guys were talking about, but and Teddy, he was just there just to be like a, I won't say an exposition character because he didn't give exposition, but just like, we need someone to watch Henry. There's Teddy. We need someone to watch the company while Kate's busy. There's Teddy.
It was also like a nice character to just have like, oh, he's just a good person. You know, there's no like weird angle where like, I also murdered children. You know, like I also did work for Mr. Lockwood. Like he was just like a beacon of goodness. So like even when he was with Joe, it just seemed like he like stood out. And then of course later on with Kate, and just a good guardian for Henry. That's
true. I just feel like, if I were to say like name me some characteristics of Teddy, there's like it's, oh, he's a good guy, you know, like there's nothing there's nothing there. Like you'll forget what this character's name is in like 3 days from now. You know, be like, remember Teddy? Like who? Like you like one of those forgettable characters, but he's there. That's fine. It's bugging me about the Kate stuff. There's something in particular while I was filming Water you guys were talking about, but anything else with her?
With
her
Kate?
family, Kate.
Uncle Bob got taken out.
Uncle Bob,
Yeah, knew all that stuff
he
about
got
her.
murked. He revealed his hand way too early. You know,
Yeah, he did.
he gave her time to murder him. Terrible plan.
Let's talk about Bronte here. Let's talk about Bronte, Louise. Yeah, this character overall didn't work for me. Now it's interesting because we talk about Kate, and last year I said the same thing about, didn't call her a bad actress, but I said her and Joe didn't have chemistry, and I still don't think they ever had the most romantic chemistry. Like I don't even think they kissed in this season, Kate and Joe, because like they had their one episode where they're fine, and then episode 2 they're like at battle until the end, right? So with this character, it sucks because when you do the whole like you thing, right? You got to buy in that chemistry right away. I didn't with Kate last year, and I especially didn't with Bronte. It felt very forced, and this is where it definitely felt like the Dexter thing, where we're trying to find different plot lines in the end seasons or what's relevant. It just feels like Fourth Wing, what's that other one called? There's another franchise, Kirkland. Akatar. That has spawned since 50 Shades, sure, but I'd say the biggest like literature has ever been is now about like novels that are very much, can be for everybody, but for skewing young women that are very much into the dark, lead that's sexual and all about descripting, and there's an adventure. And it feels like this season was definitely like what's popular right now, and that's what so many of the scenes of them falling together. So for me, that's where it's like, okay, this is like a gimmick season of that. And 2, I just did not buy their chemistry. Like this was the least I've ever bought a chemistry with Joe and somebody. It did not feel, especially for her kind of being like the final you and the one that takes him down. And especially my last point before I hold it over is, because I said these guys, I'm like, oh man, they should have ended with 4. And then the 5 thing happens, right? And then they get that whole episode where they reveal, oh, she was a student of Beck, and she's been covering this whole thing the whole time. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Because at first, when she was trying to get in the basement, me and Emily thought, okay, she's here to take him down. And then she talked about, oh, I'm just trying to sell a book. And then we got 3 episodes of her just being with Joe. So I thought, okay, I guess she is just like working with Joe and starting to fall for him, right? But at episode 5, when it revealed, oh, the whole time she's trying to take him down. This is fucking awesome. This is really cool, fun way to tie to Beck, who we'll talk about later because there are other points on her, but fun way to tie to that. But then when she, like, it's tough because it's not it is Stockholm Syndrome in a sense, but it's not, because it's not like I know everything about Joe and I still fell in love with him. It's, well, I know like a version of Joe, and like, well, he kills people because he's protecting the people he loves. So there's like, he's dark, but he's still good. For me to believe she's going to actively really fall in love with him, no tricks, I have to believe their chemistry, and I just didn't there. And that's where it felt like the 10 episodes of, to me, when the episode 5 switch happened, I wish Bronte the whole time was just on, we're going to get Joe and take him down, or do something where she's not in the murder scene and Joe doesn't know that she's a part of it. Like, that whole first 3 episodes, she's fallen in love with him, and then we get the twist, and then she's fallen back in love with him, and then the last two, I'm taking Joe down. Way too much of, I think, lack of writing and lack of chemistry for me to believe any of this. And I think the character is like fine, but yeah, my least favorite of the U, and I just for multiple reasons was not into this. I actually think she's quite good in the finale episode when it's her versus Joe. I think she delivered there, but it just felt like I didn't care about the character. Like when she fakes her death in the pond and we think, oh, Joe got her, I didn't feel like this, like, oh my God, like he killed another one. Like, of course I do because it's a woman, but not in the sense of like the other characters who we lost. Oh, that's what I was going to say before I hand it over. When you guys were talking about Cade and Taylor, you're talking about how in the season he felt like the end of last year where he's going to kill, and that's just how he has it in his mind, where that's what Kate wants. Again, full circle, he should have just tried to work out with Love, because that was the whole storyline with Love, that Love always wanted to solve the problems with murder, and he didn't. And now Kate is literally in the same situation Joe was with, well, we're only going to kill when it's like really necessary, and Joe's just full on bloodthirsty. He really should just stay. They should have figured that out, because he did become Love Quinn. He became, which obviously she was not in the season, but I did like that he referred back to her when he said like, oh, the last word she said was don't have her around, like don't have Henry around because he's gonna know you're a monster. So I like that we got some of the show out there. Wish she could have came back. I was surprised we didn't get her, and I was surprised we didn't get Jenna Ortega as well too. I thought for sure Netflix was gonna try.
She's busy with Wednesday.
Well, yeah, because they tried in season 3 to get her, and she couldn't. It didn't work out. But I thought for the final season they were going to get Ellie back, but didn't happen. So, but Bronte, very mixed bag, and a weak point of the show, unfortunately for me. So
yeah, I think I'm there with you. It just seemed like at first it felt like they were force feeding me another air quote into the season. It's like, for fuck's sakes, like let's just end the show. Like we got to come across another one,
This gimmick says she's the young one, so it's like, all right, yeah, okay, cool, we get it. Yeah,
I agree with you. I felt like they had a bit of a lack of chemistry there. So when they like got into like the flirtatious thing, I mean it's good performances, but it was tough for me to fully buy onto what they were selling. And then, they completely changed when I got that reveal that she was actually in on it. Like, I was totally surprised by that twist when they came in with the camera on, like whatever. It was like TikTok Live. I'm like, how the fuck do you get out of this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait, they got the Lockwoods, and we'll just take it down. Like,
scrub all the
instantly.
videos.
Yeah, so I guess that just worked. But it was still a good moment. I think from that point on, though, they really should have just had Bronte, like, completely against him. Like I think you can have her second guessing it just because it's kind of a serial killer thing. Like if I'm not mistaken, it's like a Ted Bundy thing, right? Where they're like, he's so handsome and like
he's definitely based off of Bundy in a sense,
And I mean, even in the last episode, they kind of play on that of just people like whatever the term is, just apologizing for that behavior, like.
And they showed the social media, right? When they talked about him being the hot killer and stuff like that, and he can strangle me, daddy, all that stuff like
exactly.
Which we see all the time, right? In real life.
Sure.
So
for sure. I think I could have done a little sliver though of her being like, is this actually true? Like I did like that little moment of her second guessing everything that's been going on, because it's kind of just how, like, another reason why Joe is able to fool people like so well, because he just has those traits of just playing people and just telling people what they want to hear. And I liked when they were highlighting that. I really love the sequence between her and Marianne. Like I thought that was a really really powerful sequence.
Even though Marianne never once says like, oh, by the way, he locked me up for 3 months.
Yeah, she didn't say that at all. I was waiting for that moment, but
they never.
She feels she didn't have to. Who knows?
I guess it's like, I feel like you lead with that. You lead with that, and then go into something else. Because she did turn. Thank goodness. I was worried when. Because I thought they were doing like a Harley Quinn sort of when she saves him from the fire.
Folia, right? Like that was the episode name when they're like Bonnie and Clyding it, and
she saved him from the fire, and I'm like, oh no, and that's when I'm like, fuck, we're gonna end. I thought, man, we're gonna end, and they're gonna leave it open ended of like, oh, if we want to go, like I thought they saw Dexter, New Blood, and Resurrection, like we could do this in 10 years from now with Joe. So I saw it coming. I was like, oh, please don't. So.
Yeah, so I think they just spent too much time of her being on his side after that big reveal moment. I mean, maybe that's how you get rid of 2 episodes. Just trimming a lot of that down. There's probably a couple other things you could do too, but even the sequence when they like kidnap that menaced or whatever the hell he was, the the men's rights guy that was going
Oh
to
yeah.
kidnap her, and then he was in the box, and it's
Especially
just
when it's just like like, because that was the full ado episode, but that's where I was like, okay, if they're gonna do the whole Stockholm syndrome thing, because that happens, right? They call her Manson Girl. That's a real life thing, as people fall for their captive or someone brutal. They don't see why. So it's like, I get this, but if it's someone that's still somewhat normal and doing the whole like locking this person up, it's like, what? Like what are we doing with Bronte right here?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a weird choice. And again, it's hard for me to believe she would ever be into him, because like anytime they talk about the stories, like each story leads like, oh well, that person went missing, or like, oh, it's terrible
Yeah.
Reagan, right? It's like every story of Joe Goldberg's life ends with someone missing, dead, or an accident happens, and that's where it's like, how can you not believe like, okay, maybe he didn't kill Beck and Nikki's dad is
He's a
the
victim.
guy. But yeah, maybe he's a victim, but like, how many times is he a victim? So.
yeah, no, for sure. I think I had something else on Bronte, but I'm fuzzy on it right now, so I'll let Taylor go.
That Meninist guy who's like pro men's rights and whatever. That actor, he's in Yellowstone. He's a really good actor. I enjoy that character.
Does he play a similar character?
No. In Yellowstone, he starts off as like a piece of shit criminal, but when he works on the ranch, he becomes
Joe.
he becomes a cowboy, and he becomes a really good married man, honest, down to earth, really humble. So good character.
That's probably what happened
good
to this
actor.
guy. You know, they let him out of the box. Go
Well,
learn
no,
from his
remember Joe
mistake.
killed
No,
him.
he got murdered.
Oh
yeah.
right, yeah, he did get he stabbed. That's right.
Because that was again, we'll get there. I think there's some issues with Joe and his he had I think 16 arcs in this fucking season. Because right
Yeah.
after he's like, finally been accepted by somebody, I no longer have to do this. But then he's like, but I want to, and it's like, what? Like, I thought the point of you finding Bronte and her accepting you, they're trying to make it seem like, okay, because all these women don't accept Joe, that's why he kills. And then he's like, well, I got Bronte, she accepts me, so I don't, because she gives that speech right of just because you can fight for me doesn't mean you have to fight for me. I can fight my own battles. And then he's like, you're right. And then Q5 minutes, he's like, fuck you, kidnapper guy. It's like, okay, what is his arc? But yeah, I did like when he's like, yeah, I'll make sure I just get the right bitch next time. It was like, that felt like such a U-turn for what they're doing with the character in the box. He's like, you're right, I never saw this. Like, yeah, but I'm just gonna fucking kill women. It's like, why would you even say that in that situation? Like I said to Emily, why don't these people never lie? Why don't they ever be like, especially when Maddie's husband was tied up and he's like, I don't know. Why would you not be like, I'm with you, Joe, let's do this. And then a week later be like, guess what fucking happened to me, police? Joe tied me up. My wife is dead. These people never think that guy in the box was just something else. But
Can't lie in
He
the
was
box.
also-
That's what they're saying.
I guess.
He was also in Civil War. He was one of the opposite reporter team to our main
There you
reporting
go.
crew.
He's shit. Character actor.
Yeah. But everything with Bronte, yeah, I was not feeling the draw to this character, and it's not the actor's issue or problem. I think it just comes down to the writing and how they were trying to make this character come across with this writing. But I think that the actor or the actress did a great job at making me really dislike this character when they were, like you guys already said, back and forth, pro with the team, taking down Joe, to flipping around and just like to get eaten out by him and fuck him, and then not be okay with him, and then being okay with him, back and forth, and just so convoluted. And it was just really, it started to really piss me off that she was just falling for this shit and all that. But I like that reveal, because when you learn, okay, Clayton was just a friend, and then Clayton was the son of the doctor who was put away for the murder of Beck, and all these different things, it was all kind of tied together. And I think that was a fun kind of dynamic. But yeah, she wasn't making smart decisions, and she's so fucking lucky that she survived at the end. She shot Joe's dick off, and then if that phone didn't actually dial 911, then she'd be fucked. So she is super, super fortunate.
That whole sequence, I know we're jumping all over, but the ending of the chase, one, I fucking hope for Penn Badgerly's sake it was warm, and that's some warm water, because that was a long ass sequence of him just in his boxers. And I've been in, when we film stuff just in a tank top, I'm fucking freezing right now. So him out there in his boxers, I felt so bad. I hope it's warm. Two, definitely could tell he had that on the calendar because I've not seen Penn Badgley that jacked in like quite a while. Like he's never been a big guy, but when he had his shirt off, he's like his traps were like big. I'm like, oh, he saw. He's like, okay, June 16th, week outside. I'm eating a couple less chicken sandwiches that week. He's looking good. And then three, just so I fucking hate this whole thing. I know we're jumping to, but so they have this night together, right? They're running away. And Bronte, I guess, has this plan of like Joe can kind of pick up when she's not feeling good, and she kind of looks at the bed and she kind of says like in her monologue, like she has to do something before they get in the bed. Pretty much just saying like if they have sex, she's not gonna be able to sell it, right? He's gonna know something's up. Even though they have this whole thing about like they're looking at the galaxy and Billie Eilish is playing and she's jumping on him. Like it looked like I was like, oh, is she completely like falling for him again? I wasn't sure, but her like mega plan is Joe's going to be on top of me. I'm going to pull out a gun while he's inches away from me and hold him up. Now, of course, in the show, it works, but we've seen Joe multiple times get out of way less or way
But she
more.
hasn't. She hasn't seen him get out of those situations, right?
But like, if you are now fully on board that Joel Goldberg is this massive killer, and look at the amount of bodies he was a publicized eat the rich serial killer in London. He killed a mayor candidate and got away with it. Obviously, he had some money, but still, to think like. At least wouldn't you think like wouldn't she want to be on top of him, or wouldn't it just be like wait till he falls asleep, or anything of just like, hey, I'm gonna go freshen up.
No, he couldn't fall asleep. He had to line out all of his additions to Beck's book, right?
No, I meant like if you just play along, you fuck him, and then you wait for him to fall asleep. Wouldn't you rather pull the gun then? Like if I.
But she didn't want to fuck him though. That's the other thing too.
But you have like obviously it worked out, but like. If I say you're with somebody, if I give you all these scenarios and one of the scenario is your attacker is on top of you, also hard, but on top of you, that's when you want to pull a gun. Like it just made no sense for Joe, who many times just like grabs a gun, does this.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be like why did he like it just was silly. And then okay, the back thing, I like that. Take all the book stuff, that works. But then the actual chase scene of one. I can't remember, they hit a lamp, and that's all cool. The lamp's going in and out, so you kind of see some stuff. But at one point, they're both like she's running, and then Joe's running. They're both outside. Don't know where the gun is. The gun's just like missing for a while. I don't know why. The phone's under the bed, so they do this awkward thing where she has to run out, and Joe doesn't decide to get the phone. She runs out, she hides behind a tree. Joe goes out, and he runs that way, and then she runs in the house, and then Joe sees her, and he runs back in the house, and they end up fighting exactly where they were fighting before. It feels like in a situation where like we've been, where it's like fuck, like we forgot something, or we don't have the set, and you're just thinking like, how do we do it? And I feel like they're just on set like, how do we do this? Well, what if they run out? But then they run back in. Like it just felt like a very awkward end fight scene of just like do the full thing there and then get outside, because they start inside, they get outside, they go back inside, they get back outside. Joe fucking Roman Reigns spears her like 3 times.
Oh yeah, it was quite a few.
Yeah, especially she is the smallest woman they've gone to play you yet. Like she's a petite lady, so Joe is just like,
and Penn's looking his most jacked he's ever looked in you.
He's fucking hitting the whey protein, and like the first one when she had because that's what happened. She has the gun and he spears her down. I'm like, okay, and then later on he spears her in the dock into the water, and then later on he spears her to get the gun. I was like, fuck, they're beating this girl up. So I just think like the set was cool. I like the idea of like the big yard in the house. I just feel like it was a very clunky type of chase scene and just like lots of stuff going on. But I did like the end. I think him getting shot in the dick was like perfect touch, and fucking that seeing Penn in that state was great. Like everything from the phone call to his son, and that's like we'll get into it. Like I have other stuff to bring up with the resolution of Joe, but like how upset he was, and he's like, "Oh, you want to know what happened to Guinevere Beck?" Like, and I did like her acting when she's like, "Oh, that's the real Joe." When he just gets full on like misogynistic, and he's like, "Oh, I do everything, but you guys all fucking bitches that don't appreciate me," and that's where it's like, okay, is this Joe character like again? Has he been fooling us of like how much he really cares about women? Which like clearly the answer is yes, but so there's some things I like. It just didn't believe Bronte's like, this is the best you got, eh? You're gonna wait till he's on top of you and pull out a gun. Like very risky. And not even, why don't people ever kneecap the people in the movies? Like that's the first thing I do is, okay, we're gonna do Beck's book, but I'm gonna fucking shoot you in the foot right now, you know?
Go watch Last of Us.
Right? That's exactly it. Even though I did like the flashback to that he broke Bronte's foot like a couple episodes before just to
Yeah.
ensure that she didn't get
It's
away.
so
That was a
fucked.
nice touch. Yeah, we're just like, oh my god, what a piece of shit. So let's take an ad break and we'll talk more about it. So we'll be right back. And we're back. More on Bronte, end scene, where do we want to go?
I remembered what I was trying to say earlier. There's just a few moments when like the reveal happens and then she's kind of just talking about like the ruse. Like this is before she even is having like the sway to go back on Joe's side. Like this is when she's like straight up like Beck was my friend. We're gonna bring this guy down. And I think this is when we're kind of seeing a lot of those filling in the gap moments where we're seeing it from her perspective of like her being the fake character. And it was just a little bit hard for me to be like, yeah, this is a character putting on an act. Like it just seemed like an actor playing the role of that character, which we saw the first time around. Really splitting hairs and being hypercritical here, but it's just I think when we got the reveal, it just seemed as if it was like a decision after the fact. Like, well, let's just use those scenes and say that she knew the whole time, even though in the moment it just seems so genuine, which is. I mean, she's acting really well, like making those scenes feel genuine, but it's just another layer that it seemed like they were missing after the reveal had happened. Again, super hypercritical about it, but I think it just added to my little bit of distaste with just the flippy flopping of where her alignment really lined. And that's it. That's it with Bronte for me.
Well, I'll talk about Bronte again later, but yeah, anything. I'm trying to think where we go, or do we just start tackling the ending now?
Well, I'll just quickly bring up Beck here. I thought it was really fun to go back to like just the initial you character, because correct me if I'm wrong. You just went through it, Travis. Does she appear at any point before, like beyond that first season?
She's in every season, actually.
Oh, really?
She's always
Okay,
a
there you
ghost.
go.
She's always comes back, and
Does she like talk to him? Like,
yeah. And so
"You murdered me,
in
Joe."
season 2, when he first starts loving on Quinn, it's like a whole like.
Oh, that's so funny. I did not remember any of this.
I could be wrong about season 3, actually, but she's for sure in 4 and she's for sure in 2, and they're both in ghosts like forms, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, and you know how this ends and stuff like that. Which I actually thought they were going to show us how he killed her, which we know it was strangulation, but. They didn't. They didn't go there, but I thought they were going to, especially when she went.
You want to see
What?
how I killed Beck? I'll show you.
Yeah,
He starts strangling her out.
Even when she said that, he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to know." I thought because that's been a big thing. We've never seen him kill. Like we saw Candace, we saw Love, we saw everybody else, but with Beck, they never showed that, and but they still didn't. So
I think a big thing with Beck too, is just always reappearing, is she is, as far as we know, his first kill.
no.
Not true.
No, who's the first kill?
Well,
His,
technically,
his dad, wasn't it?
yeah, it's his.
Or not dad. Whoever that.
It's
Not
like some
Mooney.
John, like some no,
Not the
Mooney,
bookstore guy.
Like his mom is with an
It
abusive
was the parole
boyfriend.
officer. It was the parole officer, I think, because they brought him up.
No. Even before that.
Oh, really?
He kills someone like when he's a youngin' to protect his mom because his mom's being abused, and that starts it. And then you got to remember that the very first. There's Benji, the guy Beck was like dating at the very beginning. They show him in this that he kills him before the parole officer. Okay. But even then,
I retract. I'll rephrase. This
he
is the
tried
first
to kill-
love that he kills.
Nope. He tried to kill Candace. He didn't know that Candace like survived because he buried Candace and she got out of there. So he tried to kill Candace. He tried to which is funny when they tell all Joe's love, they never bring Candace into it. But Candace is the girl that happens before Beck, and in season 1 they're used to like, oh, his last girlfriend went missing, and she's like, oh yeah, she went traveling, and then in season 2 she dates Love's brother 40 to try and like, coax him out or something. So yeah, he's tried to kill a woman they loved, and he's killed multiple people. But for us as the viewers, it's our first you, in my opinion. It's the it's our first.
It was our first, yeah.
Our first.
So yeah, I think just we already kind of talked about the pairing of her and Bronte. That was a really fun touch. But I think this season just did a really good job at kind of like highlighting that character and just I don't know. I just see her as like the first victim of Joe for what I've experienced through the show. And like I liked her in that first season, but like beyond that, like I didn't really think too much more about it, like especially because I haven't rewatched the season. So here, just really highlighting, I think, not to sound too cheesy, but just kind of like the beauty of that character, and especially when she's highlighting just the distaste or like disgust that she has that Joe like finished her book, like put his own
That was
words
great.
like on that, and then she makes him like take that out. So and then like the whole rewrites of the book. I don't know. I just thought that was a nice little final touch for closing off this whole show, and then closing it off like with that Beck character, and like she finally got somewhat of a justice all this time later. So yeah, I did really appreciate just the whole Beck usage this season.
Yeah, which was good because I watched. I'm not sure if you saw those. I didn't watch all of them, but they did like breakdowns, like 5-minute breakdowns after each episode. You could watch. There's like separate videos in like the trailer section, and I only watched
After each episode?
not at, but like sorry, they did one for each episode, not after each episode, but they did a breakdown with each episode.
Oh,
like
okay.
5-minute
No,
videos.
I didn't see that.
So I watched the finale, and whatever her name is, Elizabeth Yu or whatever, or Lull or however you say her name. She's like, oh, it was
Elizabeth
great.
Yu?
Yeah,
That's
She's
that's
like,
a name. Yeah.
she's like, oh, it's great we could do this with Beck because so many people they dislike the Beck character, but she didn't deserve to die, and the creators have some of that to say similar later on too. And I was like, oh, like I'm a big fan of you, but I guess I've never dipped my toes into the you fandom because they even do that at the end. Like the creators talk about that, how they even you talk about Scream where there's a lot of people that not idolize Joe but bring him up and everything, and they're rooting for him. And that last one with Joe, they want to turn back on you. But I was like, I feel like I've been watching the show differently. I've been on Joe been taken down for a while. Like I never thought like Beck deserved to die. Like I get it because it's like, oh, we hate this woman against the protagonist, but it's like, yeah, just because she like I don't know what she fucking cheated on Joe, maybe was slept around a little. It's like that doesn't deserve to fucking like. Then you should have killed me
If I
back
open a
in
box and
2012.
find teeth, I think my actions are justified.
Yeah, if anyone's feeling bad for that guy, that's where you really gotta look in the mirror there. But no, I really like that actress, and I hope she does more than just fucking like Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not saying she's gonna like win an Oscar, but I saw you and I'm like, oh, she's charismatic and not trying to take shots at anybody. For some reason, she just does not look like she's aged at all. Like Penn looks like he's aged. Other people, but like she looks like, and I'm sure it's makeup, but like she looks like she's still just in that first season of You, just like fucking frozen.
She's
there.
trapped.
Yeah. But no, she's great. And I agree with you. I really like Bronte or Louise doing the whole like he took her voice. And I think that was even a bigger thing too, of not only killing her, just kind of making this fake version of her that's he's killing her twice in a sense, right? And it's talk about the book sold and everything, and it could have been some stronger stuff with her and Bronte, but I liked that he took out all that stuff with the book. So anything on no, you spoke on Beck. Where do you want to go, Taylor?
I want to shout out Sherry and Carrie making a little cameo appearance in this. That was good.
That. Link in the bio.
Yeah, link in the bio, mixing their blender up.
I was really worried when they talked about the book because they're like, oh, I read this in a book that you have the cage down there. And he's like, oh, it was my wife. I was worried that's all we were going to get from Sherry and Carrie because I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. But that's where, so we can talk about this because we start transitioning to the end here. Since season 3, I've been saying, hey, we need a trial. We need this to happen with Joe. We need to see everything that's going to go down. Now, we did get that, but I'm going to talk about my disdain later. But what I think at least happened here is they didn't want to do like a courtroom version of it, even though I think you could have done at least half an episode. So I didn't get the full-on trial I wanted, but I feel like I got like the trial by social media. Like I got the mini version of that because it was bringing back like dozens of characters to talk about. Oh, Joe did this to me, he did this to my friend, he did this, and it's all characters from different seasons. Some you recognize, some you don't, and I thought that was great. And seeing Joe just crash out while this is happening and everything going on, I really like that. Again, I wish we would have got the full trial because Bronte's like, she says like the whole thing, he doesn't want to die, right? He's like, oh, kill me, I deserve it. He doesn't want to die. She wants to lock him up, and she's like, no, I want you to sit through every story and hear all this. And she says that in the monologue, but then all we get is him just coming out of the court doors, and it's like, we couldn't even got like a 10-minute montage of this going on with them. But I still like that they, like I said, I will accept the what they did with social media, because that's like a commentary on today, right? It's like trial by social media of people, something bad happening, and people have decided you're guilty before you've even gone to speak. So I did like that aspect, and I did like where, again, with Joe crashing out, he's like, none of these people were innocent. They all deserved it. If they only knew my side of the story, all that. And I think Kirkland, you had said that. I can't remember when we talked about that of me wanting trial. I was like, oh well, I want like Breaking Bad, or I want like Dexter, where eventually these characters see themselves in the mirror and they go, yeah, like I deserve all this. Even Bronte said that, right, when she's talking about Joe's fake story of, oh, this character, is he not going to have a reckoning? He's like, oh, well, I lost my son in my house. Is that not a reckoning? But she's trying to hint like there should be more coming to you for what you've done, right? But Joe doesn't get that, and that scene did show that didn't matter what people did, he didn't really get it, and that's where I'm still conflicted with Joe how he ended, because we have that moment where he gets off the phone with his son, and great scene where his son's like, oh, you know, when you took me to the bed and said there's no monsters, like you lied, you were the monster. When he throws down the phone, he like, and Penn's great. He's losing. He feels like a psychopath. He's losing. He's shaking. He's crying, and he's like, "How did I become this? Like, am I this monster? Like, I never wanted to be this." I thought that was the moment of him finally realizing, "Fuck!" Like, you know, because he even says to Bronte, he says, "Do I deserve this?" I'm like, "Oh, he's finally it's cracked in and realized." But then what happens is he decides, "Well, how am I gonna get out of this? I gotta fucking tackle Bronte." So that's where I'm still. And
Roman
even
Reigns style,
yeah,
baby,
Roman
let's
Reigns like
go.
the big spear. So even at the end when he's in the jail cell, much how Joe's delusional, I feel like, and I guess I'm not. It's not a negative, but I feel like they never. It feels like when he's in the jail cell, he's somewhat accepting of it, but he still feels bitter about it. So I feel like he's still a torn character where he sees some aspects that he knows he did wrong, but he almost like he feels like this shouldn't be, like this is too bad of a punishment for him. Like it's interesting, and I thought they were getting him the breaking point. So I would have liked to see how he reacted to the trial, but I did like getting all those characters or most of them back, a lot of them back to come shout out and put the reckoning on Joe. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I don't know. I like the moment of him just alone in his jail cell. I was okay with him just kind of just being Joe at the end, not realizing everything that he did wrong. Like he realized the situation he was in, but it wasn't like I'm a terrible monster. Like even after his own son, which he said multiple times, doing all this for his son, kind of highlighted that on him. Like he still was just, oh well, this sucks. I'm lonely now, and he's just reading his book. Like that's just his life. So I think I was okay with it because it just seemed like such a fucked up way to handle that situation. He's such a fucked up guy. So yeah, he's definitely wacky in the brain.
Yeah, I think him getting that not being given the opportunity to die is good because you just see him just freaking out like he wants to die. No, I don't believe he wants to die, but he's saying he wants to die, but not.
No, he just doesn't want to be locked
Just a
up
coward's
again.
way out.
Because that's why
Yeah.
shoot me, shoot me. And what does he do? Yeah, he does the Roman Reigns towards her.
He tried it again. He tried it
Tried
for the
it
fourth
again,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, and he got lost his dick for it.
Lost his dick for it. But yeah, I think that him being tormented by the idea of being in this small cell, which again, he's going to have major PTSD because he was locked in that little box by Mr. Mooney. Mm-hmm. And then just the idea that he can't find his one that he's always on the hunt for, right? He's just trapped in this box forever and ever and ever. I feel like, though, that this ultimate ending with him is open-ended, even though it's him in jail.
He can't get out, though.
He can't, but I feel like something could happen where he could. And I don't know. I feel like if they wanted to pull this character out of the box,
he's not dead.
10 years from now, I feel like there's a chance. I feel like there'll be you could see it. But anyways, that's a later conversation. I think with him and his fate right now, I think it's fitting. I'm glad that he didn't technically get killed and he had to face all of these different things. And when they were talking about the courtroom scene, which we didn't get to see, unfortunately, they're just talking about how it was super messy and all this stuff, but the evidence was just mounting and mounting up. But it does go to show you how if you play your cards right, you can really sway a group like online people where people were all like obsessed with him and like, oh, you could kill for me, yada yada yada. But people, when they were pissed off at him and they were like coming forward, accusing him. Dottie came forward. All these characters came forward from his past and were making all these claims. He had Maddie help him with this, but he jumped into the spotlight and did that online TikTok, right, where he was just kind of like coming out and opening up to play the victim.
Don't
and
cry, and he just fucking
that got me. He
loses
just
it.
loses his
I'm
shit.
sorry.
Maddie's looking at him like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? It makes you look pathetic," and all that. But yeah, so that was good. That was good. But yeah, he plays it off really, really well, and you see people really starting to believe him with all that. But I was trying to figure out, and I couldn't necessarily understand how Bronte like spared him with the cops after the accident where he kills Clayton. Because he's like, yeah, you protected me, and she's like, yeah, she admitted that she did something to kind of protect him.
She said it was self-defense.
That's all she said, and that's what.
So she said that the guy, Nikki's son, which again, they couldn't get John Stamos back either, I guess, because they said that they let John Stamos out, but John Stamos was like, I'm not. Because he came back for season 2, which was funny, so I thought we were going to see him again, but they said that he attacked Bronte and Joe was just defending her, which is wild.
Did you recognize the cop that was interrogating Bronte, by the way?
Yeah, from Baby Reindeer.
Baby Reindeer, yeah. I was trying to pinpoint it. I was like, I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought she was
where.
going to be more on the hunt. Like, I thought she was going to take over the case, but she was just the interrogator. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So Netflix family, I get it. But yeah, no. So for a couple weeks, I guess they just thought Nikki's son was murdered for self-defense because of Joe and everything. So terrible way to go out. So, oh God. Oh, I'll say this so I don't forget. To me, so they do this whole montage, right? You're talking, which I was for a second, I thought they weren't going to show Joe in jail, which is like, I get what they're trying to do of like show the women in power, they beat Joe and all this, and they're going to flip back on the viewers, but it's like, you still got to end on Joe, and then they show the prison jail, which I forgot to say is a few things. One, they said that he's not allowed, I think they said he's not allowed in general pop, so he is just like secluded by himself, like that's one thing where we've talked about this many casts. I'm election going on, I'm pretty liberal, I'm pretty with my rights and stuff like that, but on death penalty and stuff like that, I'm full on that side there. This is a situation though where actually the guy's got no dick. So I've always said this before, that prisoners that go in prison, they can get off, they can have an orgasm, have a good time. Not Joe, no fucking dick, and now he can't talk to anybody.
No.
He can't even get obsessed with a guy. He can't get because at one point I swear I thought I heard footsteps, and I thought they were gonna end the show like he was gonna have like a therapist or something. And I was like, oh, please don't fucking do this, but they didn't. It was just some guy just giving him a letter, like a book or something, and that's it. But that this is the situation where, because most people will be like, oh, Travis, we don't want Joe to get killed. No, this is perfect. He's got no dick, and what does Joe want more than anything? To be around people, converse, be charismatic, and he can't. He's just fucking locked alone. So this is a situation where I'm completely for Joe not getting the death penalty, and he's just going to sit there and rot. And that's what he said. He's just like, oh, I couldn't prepare for like how bad, like he thought it was going to be bad, but then once he got there, he's like, this is so much more worse. And that's where he's like, I don't deserve this. It's like, oh, you fucking piece of shit. Like there's so many times too where he's like, even with Bronte, it's like, Bronte gets me, she understands. And this is where Bronte doesn't even know like half the people he's killed. Like he's always such a fucking loon where he just like materializes things in his head. But where I think, so I don't think you're wrong about, sure, Penn Badgley wants a new boat. Let's do season 6. He gets out, whatever. I could see it. Or Henry's older. But I think what they set up, because I don't think they put this in here for just a random reason. They're doing the whole montage, and they go to the podcasters, and the podcasters like, yeah, we work with Bronte or whatever, Louise, and we did this, da-da-da. And they're like, oh, what else can you tell us? Like, well, we've discovered doing this that there's lots of people like Joe out there, and we're looking into many cases. I think that's what they did, where you're going to get like but it will be a new actor, new setting, new country even. I think that's what they're going to do. And I'm not saying Penn could never come back. You could even bring Penn in that show as like someone interviewing him, right? Or you could do a sequel series, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to, at some point, they're going to let the corpse settle a little bit, but I think you're gonna get a you, and maybe it's a woman this time. Maybe it's an Asian man or a black
I felt
man
like
or a
they were
black
gonna do that
woman.
with Bronte when how Bronte started doing the narrations, and I was thinking, okay, is she gonna kill him and she's gonna write the book that she was wanting to write and publish it, and then she's gonna become like the victim new you killer?
Well, yeah, and they even did that too in season 3. There was a love episode where she did the narration, and that was always my pitch. Remember where I said, "Oh, they should have killed Joe off in 3 and switched it over." So that's what I think they're gonna do first. Is you're gonna see like you, and it's to be like semicolon something else, whatever it is, and I think that's what you're gonna do. To me, I think the money is do it from a female perspective. I know that could be risky because the whole show is about you're cheering for this fucking serial killer, this psychopath. You don't get it. Like at the end, I think it is a good thing of him reading these letters. It's like, maybe I wasn't the problem, maybe it was you. Good way to throw it back on the list, the viewers of like, if any point you're cheering for Joe, like we talked about against Beck, it's like you're on the wrong side of history there. You got to figure that out and think about some life stuff if you saw any of yourself in Joe or you liked Joe. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Bronte as well. I think they were trying to make her like a fangirl of the show, of like, imagine if you met Ted Badgley and he's this and that. But I just don't think they fully delivered on that. But that to me is the pitch where I think they should do a female version. And I think that's what they're going to do. Because why else would you have these podcasts just be like, well, we found out there's many people like Joe, unless it's just like a way to like try to warn viewers of like, hey, this could happen to you. There's people out there. But I think that's just the way, because Penn had many times said like he wanted the show to end. So I think they would have kept going if Penn was down. But I think he was done with, even in that behind the scenes thing, he's like, I don't want to do anything with blood for like many years. Like I'm over being covered in blood now. So that's my predictions. You're gonna get you. It's gonna be a female, and then we're gonna go off from there. So,
Like it.
anything else that we haven't touched upon?
Lady Phoebe came back. That was cool.
I was surprised. Yeah, I thought she was still at the camp there. There's a quote that
Still fucking up.
Marianne still. Oh yeah, still fucking up. There's a quote Marianne said to Bronte, said, "You're not stupid," when they're talking the books thing, and I was like, I just don't believe that. Just throwing that out there. And that's all I had. I just didn't believe that moment, right? This is the section where she was falling in love with him. She's like, "You're not stupid." I'm like, I don't know. I think she kind of is, So we got to also, I can't remember his name, but from You season 2, his little helper there with the blonde hair and everything like that. That was a guy that he had kidnapped and he had let go, and it did work out. So he was like a case of Joe actually letting someone go. And it's funny because Dylan and I on that review were like, oh, I wonder if this guy's going to come back and be his helper. And they never did that. But then in this episode, they established that he's been helping Joe like multiple times throughout the series, which was like, okay, that's a fun tie in there. So
Yeah, I was so confused on who that guy was.
yeah, he was like a fixer that Joe like stole his identity for a bit, but then they came to an agreement, and there you go. So, and I wasn't sure if he was going to turn him into the cops or not, because he was looking very, I don't know, non-trustworthy at times. But
Yeah.
anything
Paid for his
else?
house. That's what he said, right?
Right, he did. Yeah, he paid for his house with some of that Quinn money or whatnot. So, anything else? I'm sure we might have missed something, but obviously lots of episodes. I think we covered the major stuff.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. Close the chapter.
Yeah, let's close this chapter, because can't guarantee we'll be here if there's a You spinoff, because I think I picture it would be kind of like Original Sin, where there's some fun to be had, but I don't know where that quality's gonna be. Or maybe that's a good thing if you do start with a new girl or a new guy. That's where you get to start over in a sense, right? But Mr. Patzer, what would you rate this season?
Yeah, no, this is an interesting one because I feel like my overall thoughts are more positive. Like my overall score, I think, is higher than what, like, just judging the season at its own, which is kind of counterintuitive because you're asking me to rate just the season. But like my thoughts are biased because this is closing to the whole book, so I kind of have to look at it as a whole. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go like 8.5, honestly, for this one. Yeah, no, I think the performances is something that really boosts this up for me. And also just with Joe, getting what he deserves of having no wiener. Sure, every boner that he gets just fucking hurts.
I don't know how that even works.
I feel like the blood would still want to go there, but like, fuck,
just like
it
a
would.
stump.
Yeah.
Just a hard stump. It's just like you're
Gosh,
it's just
yeah.
like this, the thumb halfway. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, the whole fist too, like knuckles and everything. That's just what it is.
That's a big stump. He had a big cock then if that
Yeah.
happened.
There's a reason, he's getting all these ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so yeah, 8.5. I don't really know what else to say. I'm getting tired, but
That's fine.
I'm sure I said it in this episode.
I'll go next because maybe Taylor's higher than me. So, because I think I'm the lowest of you guys. I think I'll be generous. Give it a 7. I was almost more in like the 6.75, but I enjoyed the ending and some of the episodes. There's fun twists. Yeah, like I said, I think there's some mess. I think there's some stuff they could have cut. I think there's multiple characters where the writing just wasn't there. But it's still a fun show. Yes, there was some repetition in some stuff, but I think this was pretty much the right spot because I think I said this in the season 4 review, and I was like, you have to end it now because we've seen how this goes, and I think we all kind of felt like, okay, if Joe would have got out of this and there would be season 6, that's where it's like, I don't know if there would have been GeekVerse reviews because I feel like you're getting into some territory of some questionable TV, and I think this is the right spot to end it. And yeah, so like I said, I'll give it a 7. Still some fun moments like the twin capture. There's always things with you. I think the other seasons had more of that, but and overall, I'm happy it's over. It's like I said, right at the point where it's not overstaying its welcome. When the show finished, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with this to move forward, and not sure how I feel about when I see Penn Badgley in something next in the future. It's just because I know he's been in many other things, but he did such a good job with Joe, and yeah, I still think it's tough because I don't think season 4 and 5 live up to that degree, but season 1 to 3 are for me some of the best seasons of TV, and I think unlike like stuff like the literature in this season where it felt very forced. I think those first 3 seasons were really good at having their finger on the pulse of things that were going on in our society with dating and the man and woman dynamic and with creep guys. And I think they just hit the nail on the head more than other places have. And I think it was a star-making show as well, especially for a couple people. So yeah, I'm very happy with the show. I'll be excited to return to it in the future. I did the rewatch, but I don't need to rewatch it for a while now. Seasons 1 to 3, some ultra great television. Season 4 or 5 definitely lacking, but some good time because Penn Badgley, man, he did a great job. It's much like I've said this before, but it's much like Michael C. Hall Dexter. He's just fun with that character. Whatever way he's written, he does such a good job with that character. And in this season, I guess I would say this is the most like beastly you get him, where it's always like Joe's on that line of going cracking. There's times where I felt like the way he spoke sounded closer to the ADR than ever, and I feel like we got lots of ADR this season where it was him very angry, which was not the case all the time. I felt like we got moments. So this was definitely like, okay, the mask is if season 4 ended and you're like, oh, I want to see what unhinged Joe's like, I felt like you got that this season because there's times where before he'd be like, oh, let me figure this out. This season's okay, I'll give them 15 minutes. If not, I'm going to kill this man you love right in front of you. You're like, Jesus Christ. Like, and that's like a compromise for him. And it's like, no, that's like that's worst case scenario. So 7, good time. Thanks for the memories. These were some fun moments and fun reviews and some fun gifts and memes. And there's some great times with you. And I think they ended just pretty much at the right time. So Mr. Field, end us off here.
I'm going to give this a good old-fashioned 7.5. Not too high, not too low. This season is a pick-me-up from its predecessor. And again, like you, Travis, you said seasons 1 to 3, those are really, really, really awesome. I like those. And season 4, it stands out in retrospective, just not being aces for me. But it got us to where we are now. We're back in New York. We're seeing some familiar things. That being said, to everyone, they brought their A game. I think Badgley is just phenomenal as this character. He lives and breathes it. But yeah, it's interesting to see if they are going to do something in the future, which a part of me is partial to believing that they will, absolutely, because they kept the guy alive, and maybe they're big fans of Dexter Resurgence or whatever, who knows, but or New Blood Resurrection.
Like
Resurgence will be the third.
Resurgence.
Imagine that, just a Dexter month. You're seeing Trinity Killer from the sky. Man, if they made him a Gel Prado skin, fuck, man, I would love to be Jimmy Smits in Call of
Trinity
Duty.
Kill.
Yeah, but you could be right. Could be reason they left him. Like, I think no matter what, you see the U brand. Even if they did, like, remember, I guess Terry saw it too, but remember fucking El Camino? You could even do that in the future, right? If like a 2-hour movie with Joe or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
there's definitely avenues to it. And again, ask him 10 years now. I think he's sick of the role right now, but years ago later, you could be Michael C. Hall. It's always something in
That's
the
right.
deck you can break out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's it. It can be a heavy show, and like when it's Sunday at like 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and you're watching like 4 episodes, it's like fuck. You just start to feel like shit because it's not a mentally healthy show. There's just Joe is not a healthy character. There's a lot of really negative stuff going on, but I am happy that it is come to an end for now. We've got our ending, and we finished off the review in full.
Yeah, we did, and I'll have to see. But I feel like, other than like, I know Tara and I might review, we'll probably review Stranger Things, but I think they're split in the two, and maybe Squid Game. But it's kind of the ending of an era too, because it feels like lots of streaming services other than Netflix and the shows we review are going back to the one episode drops, or like, Andor's 3. That's a rarity, but there's not many binge reviews we do anymore, So
And especially after season 4 review, because that was part 1, part 2. So we did 2 reviews for that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Because they were split by a month. So, yeah, no, it's kind of a end of an era there of certain times Geekverse. It's funny with Daredevil coming back. That used to be binge, so we'll see. And who knows? Maybe in 5 years, if Geekverse is still ticking and Joe finds God or breaks out of there, or we'll see what a new show is. Who knows? But we hope you enjoy this. Go back and watch or listen to all the other reviews and let us know what you thought about it on Discord or whatever. And I promise when you hear from us next, it'll not be boring.